What's up guys, Perry from Rockville here, and today we're going to show you how to set up a DMX controller to your RockOn-7 moving headlights. Now another way we can control our lights is with a DMX controller, which is great to use for stage productions, live performances, etc. So to connect my DMX controller to the first light here, we can take the included DMX cable, plug the male end into the DMX out on my controller, then plug the other end into the DMX in on my first light. To add another light to this setup, I can take another DMX cable, plug the male end into the DMX out on my first light, then plug the other end into the DMX in on the next light. And if you wanted to add even more lights, you're just going to repeat this process all the way down the chain. So the next thing we're going to do on our lights is set them all to the same DMX address and the same DMX channel mode. This way we can set how much control we have over our lights using the DMX controller. So again, we have the 14 channel mode and the 16 channel mode, and which one you use really just depends on how much control you want to have over your lights. For today, let's just set them to the 14 channel mode. So to set up our light to the 14 channel mode, we're going to press the menu button until we get to the 16CH or the 14CH mode. And then once it says 14 channel mode, we're going to press enter to set it to 14 channel mode. Now to set them up to the same DMX address, we're going to press the menu button on our lights until we get to the D001 menu. So for today, we're just going to set them both to D001. And remember, you're going to want to set all of the lights you have in your setup to the same DMX address and DMX channel mode. So now I can go ahead and turn on my controller, activate all of these scanners on my controller, and now we can go through each fader and see what they do with our lights. Now when we move our faders, it can also be reflected as the values we set with our faders. And with each fader, we have the value range of 0 to 255. And you can always tell the value that your fader is being set at by looking at the LED display on the top corner of your controller when you move the fader. So fader 1 controls the pan for the light, so the more I raise fader 1, the more you'll see the light start to pan. Then we have fader 2 to control the tilt of the light, so if I raise it, you'll see them tilt up. We have fader 3 to control the pan and the tilt speed. So if I raise fader 3 all the way up and then go to use faders 1 and 2, you'll see that it starts to pan and tilt a little slower. And while I have this fader down and use faders 1 and 2, they'll pan and tilt a lot faster. Next we have fader 4 that acts as the master dimmer, or how bright we set our lights. So let's raise it all the way up for max brightness. Next we have fader 5 to control the strobe for the light, but we're not going to notice anything happening until we set a color for our light. So we have fader 6 to control the red LEDs coming out of our light, so the more I raise fader 6, the more red you'll see coming through. Then we have fader 7 to control the green LEDs, fader 8 to control the blue LEDs, and then we can skip over to the next page on our DMX controller and use fader 9 to control the white LEDs. So another really cool thing is you can use faders 6 through 9 to make a custom color, just like I did here. And then we can circle back to fader 5 and use the strobe mode. So if I raise fader 5 just a little bit, you'll see the lights start to flash. And the higher I raise fader 5, the faster the strobe. Now fader 10 activates different effects depending on the value range it's set to, or how high the fader is set to, like we said earlier. So for example, if I set this fader anywhere from 16 to 128, it's going to go to the automatic motor movement mode. You can also set it anywhere from 129 to 255 for the sound automated movement mode. And next to that we have fader 11, where we can control the speed of the movement. So the higher I raise it, the slower the lights will move. And if I have it set lower, it'll go faster. Fader 12 also has different effects depending on the value range. So for example, I can raise it anywhere from 0 to 140, and it's going to go into the automatic color change mode. I can also use the value range of 141 to 255 for the sound automated color mode. Then we can use fader 13 to control the speed of the color change. So the higher I raise it, the faster the colors will cycle. And then we have fader 14 to reset our lights once it's set to 250 or higher. Now if you ever get confused on what each fader does in either 14 channel or 16 channel mode, you can always refer to the DMX guide that comes included with your lights. Now since our lights don't have a wireless DMX feature, you can always get a wireless DMX receiver like the DMX WRE to connect to a wireless DMX controller like the one we have here for a completely wireless setup. The way we can do this is by matching the wireless ID between the controller and the receivers. Let me show you how that works right now. So if I turn on my receiver, I can use this button here on the side to switch the wireless ID color for the receiver. For today, I'm gonna set it to dark blue, and by the way, you might need a small item like a screwdriver to turn on the receiver and to switch the color. I can do the same exact thing on my controller by turning on the wireless feature here. You're then gonna see this LED light up for the wireless ID on our controller, and we can switch it by using the button here underneath the LED. Again, we're gonna wanna set it to dark blue to match the receiver. After that, you'll see the LED on your controller flash red, while the LED on your receiver flashes green, letting us know they're connected and synced. After that, all you gotta do is connect the receiver to your light, make sure they're set to the same DMX address and the DMX channel mode, and now if I play with my controller, you'll start to see that it interacts with our lights. If you wanted to set up more lights wirelessly, you can get more receivers for each light, or even if you just get one receiver, you can plug it into your first light while you connect the rest of the lights in your chain with DMX cables and still have a wireless setup between your controller and your lights. So hopefully this showed you guys how easy it is to set up your DMX controller to your RockOn-7 moving headlights. But of course, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to our customer support team through phone or email. As always, I'm Perry from Rockville, and we'll see you guys next time.